Personally, I find it a bit strange that everyone is just penciling in the Clippers as the Western Conference champs. I mean, I see the case. They're as talented and as deep as any team in the league. So I think they're in the conversation, but some people in the media are treating this as if the Clippers are in a tier of their own and then there's everybody else. And I just don't see it that way. Vegas also seems to view them as the favorites at 52 and a half wins. That would not only put them atop the West, but in the conversation for best record in the league. And sure, the roster is littered with big names, but this is one of the easiest unders I've seen from a top tier team this year. Let me explain. Just really start to think about the roster, starting with the two best players on the team, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Leonard missed all of last season with an ACL tear. And before that, he was starting to show some signs that he was losing a step and he looked like he was had lost some lift on his jumper. I expect now that he's the wrong side of 30, that lift and burst is only going to get worse, as will his health. And with respect to that health, Kawhi Leonard hasn't played more than 60 games in a season since back in the 2017 season. And to be fair to him, a lot of that was due to load management, but it's still going to affect the ceiling of this team during the regular season. I wouldn't expect to see him play more than 55 games this season. Paul George has many of the same concerns, and the injuries are really starting to pile up on him. His 3 seasons with the Clippers, he's played 48 games, 54 games, and 31 games. So, again, I wouldn't want to count on him for more than 55 games, whether it be health or load management. John Wall, the Clippers' big free agent acquisition, I do think he's become a bit underrated as of late, but I don't blame anyone for not rating him properly. We haven't seen him play basketball in seemingly forever. His last 5 seasons in the league, he's logged 41 games, 32 games, 0 games, 40 games, and then 0 games again. And to be fair, with respect to last year with the Rockets, he was healthy. They just didn't want him around, so he didn't play. As for the rest of this roster, it's beginning to look a little bit like a retirement home of the players on the team who actually should have somewhat significant of a role. Only three are going to be under the age of 30, and that includes Norman Powell, who's going to be 30 by the time that the season ends. The other two that are under 30 are Zubats and Luke Kennard. Health has just been a huge concern with this most recent era of Clippers basketball. And as a result, this Kawhi and Paul George led Clippers team has yet to eclipse 50 wins. I guess if I'm being fair, the 2021 Clippers likely hit about 50 wins, and then the bubble Clippers would have 100% exceeded 50 wins had the seasons not been shortened. But the fact remains they haven't done it yet. The Clippers throughout this era, including the bubble, are known for resting guys, and then down the stretch of the season, they're known for intentionally losing games to get matchups in the playoffs that are favorable for them. So I just can't see them as a top seed in the West at the end of the regular season, knowing what we know about them. The other concerns I have for this team are more related to chemistry. I've seen online some concerns about the happiness of guys. I think it's a fair concern. There are, by my count, 11 guys who are probably expecting to play a pretty significant role and get pretty significant playing time. Obviously, that's not possible, but I actually think it's going to be okay. They're likely going to load manage throughout the regular season. So they're going to have guys kind of constantly in and out of the lineup. So as a result of that, I think there's going to be enough playing time to go around. But that's where my concerns for potential chemistry issues come in. We've seen with past versions of this team, because guys are constantly in and out of the lineup, either for rest or for injury, these Clippers teams have really struggled to gel and play cohesively. Typically, when a team gets to the playoffs, having had guys in and out of the lineup all year, or when they don't have a rotation really set in stone, it usually results in really sloppy play. So I don't know why the Clippers would be an exception to that. It just doesn't strike me as a team that's going to be able to rattle off 60 something wins in the regular season. And that's totally fine. That's not their goal, but that's why I'm leaning towards taking the under. Their goal is absolutely to win a title. And I would put them in the front runner category group for that. But there are enough question marks here that it's just completely foolish to treat it as if the West is theirs to lose. Sure, if they're healthy, I like their team best to win the West, but there's also a case for another handful of teams out West to win the conference. And the if is a big if in the case of health with the Clippers.